everyone, my name is Rachel. Welcome back to my channel. I am here to bring you guys my June TBR, my June reading plans. I know that it's kind of late in the month to be talking about my to be read when we're almost in the middle of the month, but I still wanted to make this video. There's some books that I wanted to talk about today that I am excited about getting to, so I hope that you enjoy this video nonetheless. I am so happy to be filming again after I was sick in the later part of May. My voice is finally back to like almost 100%. I mean, I feel like my speaking voice sounds pretty much normal now, but I'm still working my way up with my singing voice. But I'm excited to talk about these books with you today, so why don't we just jump on into this. So the first book that I have on here is Everything for You by Chloe Leese. This is book 5 in her Bergman Brothers series. I had this on hold from my library on my Libby app, and the hold just came in and the audiobook just became available on Hoopla. All of Chloe Leese's books, audiobooks, are available on Hoopla if you have that service. So this one is an MM romance. It is a sports romance. I hate to love romance. We have Oliver Bergman is our Bergman brother main character, and then we have Gavin. They have been teammates for a couple of years and now they are going to be co-captains. And I've heard that this has like Ted Lasso vibes. I've never watched that show, but I've kind of seen clips from it, so I kind of understand what people are talking about when they say that. I'm just so excited because I have truly enjoyed every book that I've read in this series so far, and I'm really interested to see what Chloe Leese does with an MM romance. Next we have Heartless Duke by Scarlett Scott. This is book 2 in her League of Duke series. You may recall that I read Nobody's Duke, which is book 1 in this series, and I absolutely adored it. Seriously, if you loved Again the Magic by Lisa Kleypas, you need to read that book. But I'm really excited about this one, book 2, because the heroine was kind of the villain at the end of book 1, so I'm very intrigued to see what is going to happen in book 2. All of Scarlett Scott's audiobooks, at least most of them, are also available on Hoopla, and her ebooks are available on Kindle Unlimited if you are interested. Next up we have Jar of Hearts by Jennifer Hillier. I am being influenced by Sam from Sam Reads a Little. By the way, anytime I mention anybody in my videos, they will be linked down in the description below. But I recently watched a video she made about thriller novels that she loves. I'm trying to read a thriller every now and then to kind of break up all of the romance that I now read, because I still very much love thrillers. And I've read a book by Jennifer Hillier before. It's the one, it's something about secrets. It has like the pink font on it. I really loved that book. I gave it 5 stars. And this is, I want to say this might be her debut novel if I'm not mistaken. I know absolutely nothing about the plot, but when it comes to thrillers, I kind of don't want to know anything, but I have heard really amazing things about this book, and when Sam was talking about it in her thriller video, like I said, I knew it was time to pick this up. So once again, I found the audiobook for this on Hoopla if you are interested in that. Next up we have another thriller. So the next few books I'm going to be talking about are all books that I borrowed off of Kindle Unlimited back in January. So it's kind of ridiculous that I haven't read them by now, but it is what it is. So this is The Good Samaritan by John Maas. What's really great about John Mars's books is that all of his books, from what I could tell, are free to read and listen on KU, meaning when you borrow the ebook, you get the audiobook for free. So this one has to do with, I believe, our main character, who is an operator for the service is called End of the Line, which it sounds like is a service that people call when they are in serious mental trouble. They may be thinking of taking their own lives, something like that. And so the synopsis said that basically she loves talking to people that are worse off than herself. Like, it makes her feel good about herself. I mean, as we know, thrillers usually have pretty unlikable characters, so I'm really looking forward to this one, because I've been dying to read more from John Maas after loving The One and The Passengers. So yeah, this just sounds really great. It has really great reviews on Goodreads. The next Kindle Unlimited book I have is Melissa and the Vicar by S.M. Laviolette. This is a pen name of Minerva Spencer's, who she's a historical romance author. and Jen from the Book Refuge has raved and raved about her books. I feel like Jen is the only person that I've heard talk about Minerva Spencer. She seems to be a pretty underrated author, but this series in particular is a series of 3 books, and from what I understand, the main character in each of these books is a sex worker of some kind. So this one is about Melissa. She was a prostitute and I believe is or was a madam of a brothel as well, and she ends up in this small town, I think because she's seriously ill. She might have consumption or something like that. That was pretty common back then. So she's in the country to try to get better, and she meets this man who is the vicar of the town. And so we have a virgin hero going on, and yeah, this just sounds absolutely fantastic, and Jen has really enjoyed this series. So once again, I borrowed this back in January. Like, it is time to read this book. The thing with these few books that I'm talking about at the moment, a couple of them, they don't have audiobooks, and I'm pretty dependent on audiobooks at this point. So when a book just doesn't have one, it takes me that much longer to finally get to it, which sucks because that means that I'm missing out on a lot of really great books, but it is what it is. So the next book I have is Nerdgasm by Kimberly Reese. This was a book that I was turned on to by Ava from Ava's Romance Books. Yes, that's her channel. And we were recently talking about, this is a novella, we were recently talking about this novella again when we were all in Atlanta this past weekend, and so she made me want to read this even more. And so this one is about, I believe it's a student and teaching assistant romance, and it just sounds really adorable. Next we have Unhinged by Onley James. Now this one I did see last night has an audiobook, so I did go ahead and buy the audiobook off of Audible. It was only like a few bucks because I checked out the ebook off of Kindle Unlimited. This one is an MM romance. It's a series, and I believe one of the heroes is a serial killer. I think one of the heroes killed the other hero's father, and so maybe there's some revenge involved. Maybe a psychopath hero. I don't know. It just sounds really great. I've heard nothing but really positive things about this series. Definitely a darker romance series, but I don't think I've ever read a dark romance like this that is MM. So I'm really interested to see what I think of it. Next up we have The Duchess War by Courtney Milan. Y'all, I'm so terrible. I've read one book by Courtney Milan way back in January of 2021, and since then I have made it a mission, you know, to read more from her, and I just haven't. Like, it's ridiculous. I already have the audiobook of this off of Audible. I've heard nothing but really great things about the series in general. I can't remember quite what it's about, but I believe we have a heroine who deals with anxiety, which is really interesting. And yeah, like I need to read more of her backlist because I really enjoyed The Duke Who Didn't, which was the only book of hers that I read. Although I have read another novella by her now that I'm thinking about it. But yeah, I need to read more. Then we have When a Girl Loves an Earl by Elisa Braden. This is book 5 in her Rescued from Ruin series. I'm just making it a goal that every month I read at least one book in this series because I believe there's like 11 or 12 books that I need to get through, and then I really want to get to her next series, which I believe is a Highlander romance series, and I have just been loving these books so much. Book 4, which was the previous book, the most recent book of the series that I've read, which is The Devil is a Marquis. Phenomenal. Gave that 5 stars. Easily one of my favorite historical romances that I've read this year, so I'm really excited to continue on with the series. I'm just obsessed with Elisa Braden's writing style. Like, it's just so accessible and compulsively readable. Yeah, I'm really excited to continue on with the series. By the way, all of her audiobooks are on Hoopla. Yeah, so last, before I get to my physical books that I own, I have Remain Nameless by Hey Jude 19. This is a Dramini fanfiction that I meant to read all the way back in March. But yeah, I need to get back into reading fanfics because I've read 3 Dramini fanfics, and 2 out of the 3 are like some of my absolute favorite things that I've read this year. So like, I need to read more of them, and Jen from the Book Refuge, she keeps recommending these fanfics to me and they all sound amazing, but I just keep putting them off for some reason. And this one actually does have an audiobook on Spotify. You can find audiobooks for fan fictions on Spotify. So I just wanted to throw that tip out there. This one is more of like a contemporary romance between Draco and Hermione, and I believe the plot centers around how they just start meeting up at this coffee shop, and Jen told me that it takes place over quite a few years. So I'm just really excited because this is one of those Hermione fanfics that's like a classic at this point, and like everybody who's read it really, really loves it. So I do have a few physical books that I really want to get to this month. The first one is Hench by Natalie Zena Walshotz. I believe that's how the author's name is pronounced. I was turned on to this book by Riley from Riley Marie. The plot reminds me so much of The Boys, which is a comic book series, but it's also a show on Amazon Prime, which is basically about superheroes who are corrupt. They may not be what we think that they are, basically. And so this one is about Anna. She does boring things for terrible people because even criminals need office help, and she needs a job. As a temp, Anna's just a cog in the machine, but when she finally gets a promising assignment, everything goes very wrong, and an encounter with the so-called hero leaves her badly injured. And to her horror, compared to the other bodies strewn about, she's the lucky one. So of course, then she gets laid off. And so she discovers that that her experience is actually very common, that these so-called heroes hurt a lot of people, and things just kind of go on from there. That plot line alone reminds me of the very first season of The Boys in particular. One of the major characters, like his girlfriend, gets straight up murdered by a superhero. So yeah, I'm really excited about this. Riley raved and raved and raved about this one. And then finally, we have the books that we are reading for June for the SJM along, or the Sarah J Maas along. So the first novella that we're reading is a part of the Assassin's Blade, which is a bind up of prequel novellas in the Throne of Glass series. So the novella that we're reading in June is The Assassin in the Underworld, which is the second to last novella. I can't quite remember what this novella is about, so I'm really interested to reread it. So yeah, we have that, and then we are reading Queen of Shadows by, of course, Sarah J Maas. This is book 4 in the Throne of Glass series. When I read this series for the first time in 2019, this was my absolute favorite book of the series. So of course I am so stoked to reread this, and I am so excited about this reread also because I am actually hosting the live show for this and the novella. That live show is happening June 30th at 7 p.m. Central Time. So I hope that you guys will join me and the other co-hosts for that. Oh my god, I loved this book so much. I actually did a vlog series where I did a vlog for every book in this series back in 2019, and the vlog that I did for this book is my favorite just because of my reaction to like the last 100 pages or so, because typical of Sarah J Maas, the last 100 pages are like absolutely insane, and with this book in particular, it's just bonkers at the end. So yeah, I remember this book so fondly also because of that vlog and just like my reaction to the end. And yeah, so I hope that you guys will join us for that live show if you are reading this series along with us. So that is going to be it for my June TBR. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I would love it if you would leave a comment down below if you want to tell me about some of the books that you plan on reading in June, or books that you have already read in June. I always love hearing from you guys in the comments. So with all of that being said, I would love it if you would leave a like and subscribe, and I thank you so much in advance if you do, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!